Welcome to day number 3 of our mini series on stress. Today is one of our favorite topics. We are talking about the biochemical stressors and why it matters that we address these when we are on the fertility journey. So for me, I, focused myopically on my diagnosis. I didn't look at all the other healing opportunities that were missed. And so really today we're talking about how to address these missed healing opportunities so that you can fast track your success with pregnancy. So excited for you to listen to day number 3. I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 4 spots available per month to work with us. I would like to invite you and your partner to a Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. And this call is for you if you meet at least one of these criteria. You've been trying to get pregnant for at least 2 years. You've been through at least one failed IUI or IVF. This calls for action takers. If you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. If you're seriously considering working with us, go to FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. That's FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. There's a lot of information about which supplements are right for fertility. And like most couples I speak with, you are probably taking a lot of supplements. But are these supplements optimizing or harming your fertility? That's why we recommend professional grade supplements without harmful dyes, fillers, or top allergens so that you can prepare your body in the best way for pregnancy. And as you may know, we take a functional approach to fertility. And while supplements are included in your customized protocols, which are based on testing, they are only part of the equation because there's no pill you can take that will out-supplement the basics, such as poor diet, dysregulated sleep, either moving too much or not enough, and not dealing with chronic stress. So we do recommend basic supplements for both men and women. And these are essential starters that you need to have right now to optimize your preconception health. And I'm excited to offer you a special discount at our Fab Fertile store. You'll receive 15% discount on our professional grade supplements. So simply go to Fab Fertile Store, that's F-A-B, fertilestore.com, to access the basic supplements so that you can prepare your body for pregnancy success without wasting time and money on supplements that may not be right for you. Go to Fab Fertile Store, that's fabfertilestore.com, and save 15% on your order. Hey there, thanks so much for listening to the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast. And I've got a favor to ask you. If you are enjoying learning about the functional approach to fertility, consider going to iTunes and rating and reviewing the podcast. This is how it helps the show reach more people that are struggling with infertility, knowing that there's another approach that really can get to the bottom of why it's not working in the first place. So all you need to do is, if you're on the app or the desktop, just go in and consider leaving a 5-star rating and leave a review. And there is step-by-step instructions in the show notes showing you exactly how to do that. So if you can just take a few minutes, just take the few minutes right now. You can pause this recording, come back, leave the review. It would really mean the world to me and help others that are on the fertility journey as well. Take care. I didn't need to go to donor eggs. Obviously, I don't regret it. I have beautiful children. I could have done things differently, restored. I was still cycling back in my 20s. I could have looked at my health, the environmental toxins, the stress I was under.
Many women are being told their eggs are too old. That's often merely an assumption that's not based on actual evidence. The reason being that there is no direct test of egg quality. You can't test egg quality.
It's the man who's got a food sensitivity or he has a zinc deficiency.
Like, there can be a root cause to these symptoms that are, quote unquote, period problems, that the doctor will pass you a pill without any question of why.
And some part of you knows that if you can reframe your journey from not want to struggle, or if it is struggle, learn how to embrace the struggle. Learn how to embrace it.
Most conditions in the child occur during the 9 months of development. It's the genetic switches are turned on or turned off, and they're pre-programmed. So you are in such a powerful, amazing position to do amazing things for your kids.
Why is IVF the first step? Because we believe it should be the last step. Welcome to Get Pregnant Naturally, where functional medicine and natural fertility solutions will help you get pregnant and have your baby. Hey there, I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile and your host. I believe the functional approach is the first step for anyone struggling with infertility, and my aim is to help you get pregnant naturally. Today, I'm welcoming Justine Altman back to the podcast, and we're digging into day number 3 of our mini-series on stress, and we're talking about the biochemical stressors that impact fertility. In this episode, you'll learn how biochemical stressors impact our fertility and how to address the imbalances so that we can get pregnant naturally, why focusing on your infertility diagnosis can set you back, and how to fast track your success, which diet and lifestyle factors can help improve your chances of pregnancy success. So definitely check out episode number 6 for a functional medicine 101 talk, plus a look at some of the tools we use to help couples conceive. Justine is part of my team here at Fab Fertile, and she is an integral part of our couples coaching program, which uses functional lab testing, diet, and lifestyle changes to dramatically improve conception. So if you're struggling with infertility, your body is desperately trying to tell you something, and focusing on your health will either help you get pregnant naturally, or if you do need to go to the fertility clinic, it will improve your chances of success. Thanks so much for listening. I'm so thankful that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe. And if you know someone else who is on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the biochemical stressors that we see. And you may have heard us talk about some of these before, but we're going to just dig into some of them just so you know. So typically we're working with complex cases such as low AMH and high FSH and POI, POF, and diminished ovarian reserve. And so some of the themes that we're seeing are with regards to the biochemical stressors are food sensitivities, done many podcast episodes on food sensitivities, on doing a food sensitivity test by starting with an elimination diet. We see themes of people with non-celiac gluten sensitivity and other cross reactors to gluten. So the body identifies that food as inflammatory and mounts an immune response to a seemingly healthy food. Anything you want to say on food sensitivities, Justine?
Oh, just that this is a big win. You know, it's like there's a lot of ways we can try to identify food sensitivities, but food sensitivities are really hard to clue in on, especially if you're one of those people that are suffering from digestive issues all the time, right? So if you've always got diarrhea or constipation or both, or you've always got some gas or some bloating or any of those things, it's really hard to clue in on which foods cause you issues. I know it was for me, right? So I always felt sick. Everything I ate made me feel sick. And so I never knew what things were causing the issues. Well, come to find out, it was most of the things I was eating because I ate a lot of crap. But you know, it was like, well, geez, every time I eat fried foods, I get sick. Well, that's because you shouldn't be eating those things. But you know, but even other things, right? Like, so for me, dark chocolate is a major trigger. And I never used to know that, but I know it now because if I ate a piece of dark chocolate, I feel crummy in a matter, like before I'm even finished having that one piece. So it's super clear that I have a food sensitivity. But for a lot of us, it's really hard to clue into those because, you know, we don't necessarily get immediate reactions, right? Sometimes it's a day later or 2 days later, and sometimes it's not digestive, right? It can be a breakout. It can be, congestion in our nose. It can be all sorts of different kinds of responses. So doing some food sensitivity testing is really strongly encouraged because it's like, that's a really great way to find out, you know, in black and white immediately what some of those sources of inflammation for you are. And if you're able to eliminate some of those foods, it's like your body just goes, oh, thank you for taking those away from us.
Yeah. And we see it all the time. Even if people are coming to us eating that clean diet, there's all, I would say it's like 99%, but we'll go as far as saying 100% of people there's missed food sensitivities. So start the elimination diet and do that with your partner. You can check out the podcast episode on that. Gut infections, we see this all the time. It's the last place people would think when they're, when given an infertility diagnosis to check for gut infections. And it doesn't mean that you have to have digestive issues to have a gut infection. Like myself, I've never really had digestive issues. But it impacted for me. I had skin issues and, mood issues and, joint issues. So that can be, food sensitivities as well as the health of my gut. We regularly see with parasites, bacteria infections, worms, like something's going on in the gut, and we see infections being passed back and forth. We've got definitely check out some episodes we've done on gut health as well as, stool testing. It's part of our Fab Fertile method. Anything on gut infections there? Justine?
Yeah, so I was in a position, as maybe a lot of our listeners, where I had really done a whole lot of changes to my diet, and I was really eating well. I was eating very cleanly. I was eating nutrient-dense foods. I was consuming bone broth, which we know helps to repair the gut and nourishes the gut. But I was also full of bacteria and H. pylori and a nasty little parasite called Giardia that does damage to the gut, right? And so it didn't matter. I could have done that the whole rest of my life and would never have healed my gut, because it doesn't matter how much good, gut-loving bone broth you're drinking. No amount of bone broth is going to eliminate a Giardia infection. Got to be addressed head on. And until you do that, you can't heal the gut, because it's continually doing little minute amounts of damage day after day after day after day. So even if you're doing all the right things as far as diet, and even if you've done a food sensitivities test, right, and you've clued into those weird random healthy foods that are causing problems like broccoli and cranberries, that kind of thing, the gut infections, if those are going on, it's impossible to get to 100%. And again, those little buggers, not only are they causing damage to the gut, but they have byproducts that are toxic to us, and they steal our nutrients. They're little nutrient thieves, right? And so constantly they're at war with us. So it's really important to get those addressed.
Again, these biochemical stressors to dig deeper with that. And so the next one we see is blood sugar imbalance. We've done a whole podcast episode on blood sugar imbalance, so definitely check that out. But we see, again, if your blood sugar is on a roller coaster all day long, then that's, impacting and even having poor sleep can then impact your blood sugar the entire next day. And when we speak to couples and women, with dealing with infertility, that a high percentage of them are dealing with interrupted sleep, waking up during the night. So waking up between 3 to 4 a.m. should be liver issues, or is it 2 to 4 a.m. So blood sugar has a huge impact on your body. Anything you want to say in a small thing on that one? Because there's a huge,
it's a huge topic. Yeah. So we say it all the time, but it's like, it's this roller coaster that you're riding all day long. That's bringing stress to the body, which has a big, huge impact. So it's like, if you're suffering from some blood sugar imbalance, whether you know it or not, like that's a big deal. So ultimately, the solution there is focus on proteins and fats in your diet and keep carbs on the low side. And if you aren't sure if you're eating too many carbs, then you're eating too many carbs.
There you go. And then the next one is thyroid imbalance. We see a lot of people being told that their thyroid is normal, or they're just looking at the TSH. We're looking at a full panel, including antibodies, and sort of the thyroid can be the canary in the coal mine. Well, why is it off in the first place? And really, sometimes medication is warranted, but again, that's a Band-Aid approach. And why is the thyroid off? And that can, with irregular cycles and ovulation disorders and other things with miscarriage, the thyroid is key to ensure that's balanced for fertility.
Yeah, and when thyroid is out of balance, the starting point for a lot of people is that there was a lot of stress, and the body's perceiving that stress as a threat to our safety, and it's intentionally slowing down our metabolism by lowering our thyroid hormone in order to reserve resources, right? It wants us to be able to make it through the harsh winter with a bad harvest kind of thing. And so it's slowing down our burn rate. It's like your phone going into low battery mode. And so our body's doing this in a smart way. But ultimately, so, like you said, the medications can be necessary sometimes, or some kind of support for the thyroid can be necessary. But ultimately, that's just sort of a Band-Aid for now. We really want to get to the root of why are you having thyroid issues to begin with. And in every case, it all boils down to stress.
Mm-hmm. And then, so the environmental toxins, which are another stressor, so biochemical stressors. So the air that we're breathing, looking at air filters, the water we're drinking, the tap water can have over 300 contaminants in it. So making sure that you have a water filter at a minimum of Brita, but we like the Berkey, the food, the veggies that we're eating, the produce, the meats and fish and poultry that we're eating could be, sprayed with herbicides or pesticides. So making sure that you opt for organic, or at least the dirty dozen. So that's the environmental working group. They will list the top 12 foods that are the most highly sprayed. You don't want to eat those. And, all of this is really especially for sperm counts. So sperm counts in men from America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand have dropped by more than 50% in the last 40 years. So environmental toxins for sperm health are key. Anything you want to say there about the toxins?
Yeah, and so the list doesn't end there, right? So it's in our air, our water, our food, the electromagnetic frequency, the Wi-Fi and 5G and all of those things, but also everything that we put on our body, right? So all of our all of our cleaning products, our personal hygiene products, plastics, this stuff is just sort of everywhere. And so, but that statistic is really profound if you think about it, that fertility has dropped by more than 50% in the last 40 years. That means that we have done that much damage. So something between 40 years ago and now, our lives have changed that dramatically that there's that much of an impact. So number one, that's absolute proof that stress plays a gigantic role in your level of fertility. Huge. Right? In which case, that's a really good piece of news, right? It's good news because that means we absolutely have the ability to make adjustments that are going to improve our chances. And so it's all the things, right? It's eliminating the foods that cause sensitivities and the gut infections and the blood sugar imbalance and all of that. So all of those things can contribute, but that's a really profound statement to know that it's dropped that significantly in such a short amount of time. But like I said, it's a really good news because it really means we absolutely have the ability to control it. We can't control everything, right? We can't control, the Wi-Fi signals that we pass through as we go for a walk around the block kind of thing. But there are a lot of those things that are within our control. And we can make a huge improvement by making some adjustments.
The next one we have is hormonal imbalance. I think a lot of us, we get stuck on the hormonal piece where like, again, myopically looking at our estrogen, our progesterone, our testosterone, and looking at that and not looking at the other stressors going on in the body, and then not really getting the right reading on our cortisol. Can you talk about, basically this is, we get some good information back when we do the Dutch test, which is again, a number of episodes on the Dutch test. You can definitely do a search on the Dutch test 101. So you can learn more about that there. But as far as hormone balance and cortisol, and we talked about that on the last episode, but anything you'd like to say there with the hormones? Yeah.
Just again, our cortisol, when our stress rises, our cortisol rises because that's our stress hormone. And the body's using its resources to prioritize that hormone over the rest of our hormones. So over thyroid hormone, over progesterone, over estrogen, over testosterone, all those sex hormones take a back seat. And when our hormones are off, then we struggle to conceive, right? We have estrogen dominance sometimes, we have just low hormones in general, and we're not ovulating. We have all sorts of, there are a ton of different ways that can manifest for people. But ultimately, it's like, so we can supplement with some hormones, right? And we can try to increase those levels. But that's the same thing as when we talked about thyroid, is that, that's sort of a Band-Aid approach. And it's not necessarily a wrong approach, but ultimately we still want to get to the root cause. And it's the same thing, like when birth control gets prescribed to teens or to younger women, right? When they have irregularity with their cycles and they go on birth control to regulate the cycle. It's like, well, the issue is still going to be there when you come off the birth control because we haven't fixed the problem. We've just found this Band-Aid solution in the meantime.
The next one we have is leaky gut, and this is intestinal permeability. So you can, I've done a food sensitivity test and came back. I was intolerant to all my favorite foods. I wanted to take the test and throw it out the window because I'm like, what are you going to eat? I was already eating this like super restrictive diet. And I'm like, now I can't eat avocados. What? But because I had that gut infection. So as I addressed the gut infection and healed the gut, then I started to, address the leaky gut. And leaky gut can come from, antibiotic use, birth control, and gluten and chronic stress. So anything you wanted to say there kind of is like, it's almost the chicken or the egg thing. Is it the leaky gut was caused by the chronic stress, or was it can you talk about the chicken or the egg? I don't know what I was trying to say there.
And it's all connected, right? So gut infections have the ability to increase leaky gut. Gluten has the ability to increase leaky gut. Any foods that we have a sensitivity to has the ability to increase leaky gut. And then when leaky gut increases, we are more susceptible to more pathogens, to more food sensitivities, to autoimmune conditions, right? And so it's all connected, right? And so it's really important that we really take a look at the gut. And that's, of course, why that's a critical component of our program, is that we're looking at the gut for every single client to make sure that we know what the microbiome looks like. Are there gut infections? Are there challenges digesting food? Do we have leaky gut going on? Do we have food sensitivities, right? So that we can sort of all at once work on all of those things, because ultimately if we leave one of them just sort of, off playing hooky and we're not addressing it and we address the other things, the issues are going to continue to come back unless we sort of address the whole picture.
Yeah. And the immune system. So this was it for me. I remember I had after I had my daughter, I had 9 colds in 1 year. Every cold went to a sinus infection. I thought it was a great idea to take antibiotics for every cold. Then I started getting all these other infections. So even though I probably would have classified myself as pretty healthy at that stage, but my immune system was pathetic. And I have done a number of episodes too about the immune system and chronic infections. So definitely you can check out that. There's one on infertility and the link to chronic infections. You can look into into that. But especially now as we're in the middle of COVID, making sure our immune system is healthy is more important than ever, but it always has been healthy. It always has been important. Anything you wanted to say there with the immune system and chronic stress?
Yeah, again, it all comes back to the gut, right? The majority of our immune system comes from the gut. And if the gut is challenged, we just don't have enough little immune soldiers to take care of all those buggers. And also we don't have enough stomach acid to fight off pathogens, so we come into contact with pathogens all day, every day. But usually if our stomach acid is healthy, most of them get killed off right there. And if some of them make it through, then our immune system in the gut take care of them. Well, if our stomach acid is lowered because we've got a gut infection like H. pylori, or we've got other gut infections that are limiting our immune system being produced in the gut, then we're really susceptible to a lot of things. And I have my own story about immunity and how it really makes a huge difference. My husband used to be sick all but July. Basically, it was, every cold, every flu, everything hit him, and he would just barely almost get done with one thing. The sinus pressure is starting to fade and the drainage is starting to fade, and he'd get whomped with the next one. And it happened year round. It literally was like 1 month a year. He was okay. And then, we really made an effort to get healthy. He got healthy. He never gets sick now.
Amazing how that goes, eh?
Yeah.
And then stress is pro-inflammatory. It prolongs wound healing. It increases oxidative stress and then impacts detoxification. Anything you wanted to say there on those?
Yeah, stress is the name of the game. Getting rid of the stress in every way has every impact on every little process in the body, right? And there are millions, literally millions, or maybe I'm even underestimating, but the processes that are going on in the body every single second of the day there's just so many, and every one of them gets affected by every type of stress, whether it's chemical stress or physical stress or emotional stress. It's just that it's constantly causing inflammation. Every time we do something that's stressful to the body, it's causing some level of inflammation for us.
And then, so just for diet piece, definitely, as we were talking about, you can check out the Elimination Diet. I tell you how and why to do the Elimination Diet when you're trying to conceive. Do that one with your partner. Also, we typically, depending on, especially if there's an autoimmune disease, but other times if we're trying to reduce inflammation in a fast manner, then we'll may recommend an autoimmune protocol diet. So it's the Elimination Diet on steroids. It would be only for a shorter period of time, but basically, and then also digging into no grains. Anything you want to say on those diets?
Some of these diets, they sound scary. They can be scary from an emotional standpoint, especially if you're someone who's got a complicated relationship with food, which I would argue most of us do. Mm-hmm. And they've certainly been very scary for me, but I can tell you, for myself and for everyone that we've worked with, it just has such a dramatic impact. And you'll know even in the first week how much your body chemistry is changing for the better if you follow one of these diets.
Yeah. People tell us all the time, regularly, it's life-changing. Mm-hmm. And I would concur that it's life-changing for me. And so, and then the lifestyle piece, again, we've talked about in this series, looking at things to help with the mental, emotional stress, prioritizing sleep over everything. And then, like we talked about today with the biochemical side of things, being able to address those other stressors that we may not even know are stressors. So, and then just from supplements, we do recommend basic supplements with our Fab Fertile method. You can check out the podcast episode we did on supplements. And there's 6 of them that we recommend. And so those are magnesium, a prenatal with a methylfolate, an omega, vitamin D3, K2, a probiotic, and CoQ10. Anything you wanted to say about supplements or lifestyle?
Sure. When it comes to the supplements, it's really about, we want to find one that's really high quality, right? And so it's really important that we don't buy supplements from I don't want to get in trouble saying it, but from our corner drugstore, typically, because there's a lot of junk in there. And a lot of times, like for example, an omega-3 has potential to be completely rancid oils by the time it gets into your hands from all of the manufacturing and the shipping and the sitting on a shelf and being in a bottle that's not dark enough and it's exposed to light and it's exposed to air and all of those things. So you really want to make sure that you're working with a supplement company or companies that are that really care very much about the quality of their products and that they're at a therapeutic level. And that's absolutely, of course, what we recommend to folks.
Any final thoughts on the biochemical stressors, Justine?
Oh, just that they all matter and we're not looking for perfection, right? We talk about a lot of things that you can do on this podcast in order to improve your chances for fertility. We by no means are telling you need to do all of them, right? No. It's about finding the ones that you're able to implement into your life without causing so much stress from from doing them that we're just, sending ourselves in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like if the AIP diet, if you've thought of that is, causing stress, then it's probably not the right thing for you right now. Well, we do recommend the elimination diet because it's only for 10 days. You can do anything for 10 days. And then typically after that, you'll be feeling amazing. And then you may be able to get your mind around it. But sometimes approaching some of these things right away can be overwhelming. So thanks again, Justine. So I wanted to tell you a little bit more about our FabFertile method. So we have access to functional lab testing. We ship the lab testing worldwide. We have food sensitivity testing as part of our method, using blood. We look at stool testing, looking at the DNA of your stool. We do hormone testing. So looking at your hormones using urine. We're doing hair tissue mineral analysis, looking at the status of your minerals and heavy metal exposure, and then blood chemistry review, not to diagnose, but to educate, looking at your blood chemistry using functional reference ranges, which they're just tighter reference ranges that flags disease or illness earlier. Again, we are not diagnosing, we are educating. We also include coaching to help you and your partner fast track your success, to help you implement these targeted diet and lifestyle changes that we would be giving you based on the testing. So at the end of the program, you'll either be happily pregnant, or if you do need to go to the fertility clinic, you'll dramatically improve your success because you have optimized your health for both you and your partner. And we specialize in tough cases like low AMH, high FSH, premature ovarian insufficiency or failure, and diminished ovarian reserve. Addressing the stressors on the body is key for pregnancy success, and it's looking at the whole body, and we're digging deeper. And so what are those missed healing opportunities? So there's no downside to focusing on your health. You'll either get pregnant naturally or improve your success with IVF with your own eggs. So if you're ready to take a targeted, customized, functional approach to your fertility, just book your call by going to FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile. Click on book a free call. This call is for you and your partner. Space is very limited. We have 4 spots available each month to work with you. So that's FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on book a free call. I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 4 spots available per month to work with us. I would like to invite you and your partner to a Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. And this call is for you if you meet at least one of these criteria. You've been trying to get pregnant for at least 2 years. You've been through at least one failed IUI or IVF. This calls for action takers. If you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. If you're seriously considering working with us, go to FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on book a free call. That's FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on book a free call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. You may be taking supplements that instead of optimizing your fertility, may be harming it. That's why we recommend professional grade supplements without harmful dyes, fillers, or top allergens. Simply go to FabFertile Store, that's F-A-B Fertile Store.com to receive a 15% discount on our basic supplement recommendations for preconception health. That's FabFertileStore.com. The Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, including show notes and links, provides information with respect to healthy living, nutrition, lab testing, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.